All right, it's a couple of crazy dudes again, just sitting here on Scott's porch, watching the rain after a insane day of insane week of working like crazy. So anyway, my week was full and action-packed, sitting behind the desk, going to countless meetings up until about an hour ago. Um, Scott, on the other hand, has been busting it. Instead of me speaking for him, I'll let him tell us about. Again, keep in mind, he is on a quest. I am 45 next month. Wow, less than 2 weeks. He is 55, and he finally has said, all right, dude, I'm out. I'm going to the Philippines, not at 58, not at 60, now. So basically, he's wanting to finish his school year, but I'll let him give you an update on how it's all going.
Okay. So actually, I turned 56 in June. So I'm trying to prepare everything to sell the house because I will have no passive income until I'm 60, in which I'll receive a pension from the schools, the state of Arkansas. Um, so I'm trying to get the house prepared to sell. I mean, there's a lot involved. It's very stressful, but I'm on a quest because I see that if I would stay where I am right now, in some ways it's actually a lot more stressful and also very dreading. So when I go to work, I feel dread. Not that I hate the job itself, but I dread the rinse and repeat of life. I dread that doing the same thing over and over again. I dread, you know, looking to the future, waiting more years, and now I see a window where I can go now and be free. My ultimate goal is to be free, to have life on my own terms, not live life for others. I have constantly lived for others. I mean, I still will to a point. I'm married, happily married, and but I live my life for my kids. I've done so much for my kids over the years. I've done so much for my mother that's elderly through the years, and I still will. Um, but I also want to know, when is it going to be my time? When is it going to be your time? When is it you're going to be able to enjoy life? When are you going to finally reap, whatever it is, the hard work you've done, or whatever you've done in life, that you've been on the hamster wheel all your life? And I think that we have to find what our, not necessarily happiness, because life's not all about happiness, obviously, but something of an adventure, something of where you can live life on your terms, and not that you won't face any trials and tribulations to, like I know I'll face many hardships if I can finally make it to the Philippines. But I'm also bringing my dogs. I'm also bringing my mother, who's 85, to the Philippines, who doesn't want to see herself die in a nursing home, an old folks home. And I respect that. And I'm going to do everything in my power to help her come to the Philippines as well and live out her life, with family around her, with friends around her, seeing the beauty of nature in the Philippines. That's what's a draw too, is that I love nature, I love oceans, I love mountains, I love mango trees. So that's my quest. It's not an easy quest. I have to try to hit all the right targets, get all the right paperwork, get all the right things that I need to sell the house so that I can live on that income until I turn 60. And it's going to be a hard journey, but I'm living it like it's my life. This is my life. I have to do whatever I have to do to be able to make this work. And if that means, hours and hours of planning and figuring out what I need to do. I am ready to do it, and I am doing it. In fact, I'm going 100 miles an hour while I'm doing this. But the ultimate goal is freedom. And what I'm trying to say to you is that if you have this desire to, and not necessarily, it might not be the Philippines, it might be, living off grid, or maybe it's simplifying, maybe it's selling your home and finding a rural town where you can be successful, where you can be happy, where you can do your hobbies, where you can see more meaningful in life. Maybe it's spiritual. With that, in the Philippines, I plan to do more spiritual things. I also plan on, if everything works out, is, working part-time for free in the Philippines, if I'm allowed to help teachers teach kids how to read better, because that's my expertise. That's what I have to say for today.
No, and I think just to add to that, yes, this is part of, like we said in one of the other videos, the Timothy Ward kind of our own diary, but also, hopefully, we'll be able to kind of itemize some of these in the future. Apologies for the dogs barking. But yeah, right now, the thing that I think is unique here is just, like I said, I'm 45. Wife, yes. I'm doing the off-the-grid thing, which I've done a few videos on. Again, just saying, hey, I don't know anything about building a house, hooking up solar, doing all this stuff, gardening, any of it. You know what? Let's do it. Because same as Scott, I'm kind of tired of the rinse and repeat. I mean, what's the point? And maybe that's the philosophy background in me, or whatnot. But in other words, it's like right now, I'll probably itemize at some point like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to finish this year at the corporate office. Then afterwards, I'm going to try to take X amount from a 72T for my 401k. We'll explain that in another video. I've got X amount saved up, Y amount of my bills, and I actually am kind of trying to have one foot like straddling the fence, because I'm actually wanting to keep the decent 1,700 square foot house in town, but also have the off-grid life. So in other words, we'll get into that more later, but exactly what Scott was saying, he's to a point where, his income and his bills are basically equal. So it's not like he is sitting on a bundle of money.
No.
But all of a sudden, that may resonate with some people. Hey, you're 55 like Scott. You don't have that much saved up. Thankfully, he has, a decent teacher pension on the horizon. But again, it doesn't kick in till like basically 60, right?
Yeah, another 4 years.
So, and he's like, dude, who knows? Am I going to be, we were just talking about Steve Jobs. Yes, he had $10 billion to his name. Guess what? He died at 56. Same age he'll be in a few months. Now, again, you don't live life in fear, but that is reality. And with that being said, who cares? Why not an adventure instead of just, the white picket fence, supposedly, the American dream / myth. So I think that's why it's interesting to say, all right, James, you don't understand, I have kids. Well, Scott has kids. Brian, who was in another video, has a kid. Well, James, you don't understand you paid off all your debt, but I didn't. Well, Scott hasn't. He's going to sell the house to pay off his debt and then move, and then basically, well, I've got a sick mom. He's got a sick mom. So in other words, I don't really think there's that many cop-outs. That's why I just don't get it, and I think that's kind of like all of our passion / testimony is to say, I don't get why people work till they die. I guess that was it. We were just talking about that earlier. And then Brian is kind of in the middle. He's 50. He doesn't have that much saved up. But he also doesn't want to leave the quote-unquote matrix. So he's looking at doing the RV route just to avoid paying what's now like the average rent around here is like $1,500, $1,600 a month. Might be more, might be less wherever you live. But if it's less, I guarantee your income's probably less. If it's more, your income's probably more. In other words, it's all relative. So I think that is the biggest takeaway. And I wanted to get Scott kind of locked down because right now he's moved his sick mom back in. She wants to go to the Philippines. She's wanting to be baptized. Again, we'll get into that in another video. But now he has just said, hey, it is almost May. You know what? I think this is my last semester. Wait a minute. Okay, we went from 60 to 58 to maybe 57. Now it's 56? You're literally wanting to be in the Philippines 6 months from now? So, Lord willing, he's going to kind of document also his little journey of, okay, hey, mom got her passport, mom got out of her last surgery, we're on the plane, God help us. And then hopefully, boom, we're in the Philippines. Here's this. None of it's going to be perfect. Like right now, he's trying to do some renovations to his house so he can sell it for a little bit higher price, blah, blah, blah. Now, on my side of it, I'm just trying to get XYZ done. For example, I just had the house redone in I forget what it's called, not Harding board, but it's something like that. Because they're like, well, it's guaranteed 30 years. I'm like, okay, well, I need to get all this done while I've got a good income. Same thing with getting the off-the-grid thing set up. This is all trial, basically trial and error, watching YouTube videos and whatnot. But the one thing that I think is funny, I just made some notes here. So the Philippine update, yes. Last week, which I thought was funny and super ironic, my nephew, the baby stooge,
I love it.
He's almost 16. He'll be 16 next month. And he's already, I was like, dude, you haven't even got in the Matrix yet. And he's already ready to leave. So I'm like, oh, that's at least hopeful. But it's funny, we watched Soylent Green, and he wanted to watch The Matrix. So we watched both those. And we watched Falling Down. So I was like, dude, this is heavy duty. But yeah, all three of those hit me like a lead balloon. And then it's funny, he found a name badge of Neo in the Matrix, and he's like, this kind of looks like you. And I'm like, dude, that is me. So we'll see after, I've already been at the corporate environment 20 years, got my 20-year name badge, got to hide that thing. But one thing that we're going to talk about more, like in some of these other videos, hopefully will just be, and ask some questions, like, well, dude, I've got like 20 kids. Well, if you got 20 kids, you're probably SOL. Not sure if there's much you can do. No, I'm kidding. But
Help you.
yeah, but it's funny to me, and it's maybe like it's like the blinders are on, and now it feels like they're slowly coming off. What a rat race we all sign up to. It doesn't matter if it's teaching school, if it's slaving away at the corporate environment. Why do it just to buy crap that we don't even really need? And it doesn't, in the words of Henry David Thoreau, it's like the cost of something is how much life you have to give for it. Okay, I think I'm ready to have some life and not material goods. So yeah, I think that's part of it. The other part of it, again, we'll get into that in another video. I think it's ironic that people will look at something like that as what we're doing is cultish, but then like where I work, just slaving away for the corporate dollar, which is absolutely Gordon Gekko from Wall Street cultish. They will say, no, that's not cultish. It's not? No, you're doing it. You're worshiping the guru of money, so it's okay. Okay, I think that's still cultish. But anyway, again, Alan Watts, the Stoics, that kind of thing. Movies, Into the Wild, Fight Club, Falling Down to a lesser degree, Eat, Pray, Love to a lesser degree. There's a lot of things we want to kind of review and just kind of like have a conversation on. And hopefully, I personally think books and movies are an excellent way to connect to someone, to say, hey, have you watched the movie The Matrix? And start the conversation that way is an excellent way to start. So we'll probably go that route in a couple of the future ones. But I wanted to at least tie down Scott quick enough to do a quick update, because with his mom here, his wife and son right now are in the Philippines. They're about to come back. He's trying to renovate the house. It's been 100 miles an hour, so I at least wanted to give him an update from his viewpoint. And I'm basically twisting his arm to say, you've got to do some updates on your own. But I don't know, is there anything else on this one
No, that's great. And the dogs went crazy anyhow.
No kidding. That's life. So they're part of the Matrix, I think. But anyway, till next time.
Did it work?
I think it worked. If it didn't, we'll do it all over.
We don't want to do too many minutes either.
Exactly. Because the other one I wanted to talk to you about and just get your take. 15